to be here with you guys. This space is so great. Leanne, team, you rock. So this is going to be a fabulous summit. I just wanted to start. Leanne asked me to talk a little bit about the future of work, AI, democracy, those topics, and I want to talk about the inclusive version of it. And I want to tell you about a lot of stuff that's working, even though these times are so complicated, right? So the thing I want to actually start with first is relates to this, the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the Ocean Badge. The Climate Summit is taking place this week out west, in San Francisco. And there's a lot of tech and science solutions, data solutions, all of that work that we need to do. But I wanted to start by pointing out an amazing group that's there. They just arrived this week, and that's the Polynesian sailing voyagers. These are people who are sailing with no instruments. They're using the most ancient, amazing technologies and the human, indigenous, but indigenous technologies. And thinking about this, their canoe, the same way we might think about islands, they're from Hawaii, the same way we might think about our island, this planet that we all are on together, and how we think sustainably. So these are ancient technologies of sailing and voyaging. Sometimes if you talk to the folks from Polynesia, they say, you know, we kind of have a continent, it just has a lot of water. So if you saw the movie Moana, you know, that kind of sailing, voyaging, right? That's real. Humans can actually do that. And actually, the Hawaiians sailed around the planet with no instruments. So imagine that. That's like how about the crew of us right here? We're going to get on that boat I just showed, the canoe, and we're going to the middle of the ocean, the Pacific. Let's choose the Pacific. Which way do we go? Like, can you imagine that? They know where to go. And they pull the islands right out of the ocean as they sail to them. And the crew captain this year was a woman who just sailed from Hawaii to the summit in California. Awesome. Young people are very involved, and they use collective genius. When they got back to Hawaii, they asked all the children. The University of Hawaii president called an open call for the students and across the country, across the states, across the state of Hawaii, to solve pollution problems near Waikiki on the Alawai Canal. So using kind of open innovation, magic school bus-like things, they're really working as a community in a new way. I wanted to show you this student project from MIT. I'm on the MIT board, and we were in the Aeroastro department. Some students built this. It's using data science, AI, robotics, etc. That's a cool project, right? So think about the technologies that are available to us today. I have an Arduino here in my pocket, Raspberry Pi, all this stuff is available to us. And yet we don't use it in all the places. We use it in some of the places. So these are two pictures. They're about the same size in terms of people. Do you recognize any of the pictures here? Okay, what's the one up top? Burning Man. Do you know this one? This is the Zatari refugee camp on the Syrian-Jordan border. So the systems design and how we're operating as a humanity in each of these places is completely different, but it doesn't need to be. So why are we in kind of two realities? The systems are messed up, and we need to use science and technology and innovation and our new methods, our Wikipedia ways, to collaboratively solve problems, the harder problems. Because even though individual people in the Zatari refugee camp are incredibly kind, and individual people who have landed there through great challenges are incredibly talented, the system isn't working the way that the playa is working, and yet it could be, because it's the same planet we're on, right? Same innovation. That's West Virginia. This is Chattanooga. They're really close. We could get in that car and drive between them very quickly. Right here, no one's making a WeWork makerspace in that brick building there. This poor man is getting water for his family, and yet there's talented people in West Virginia, just like Chattanooga. Now, Chattanooga has community organized. This is not Silicon Valley, but this is the highest speed internet in the Western Hemisphere, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So how do we have not two different realities, but get together and solve problems? People are nervous about the future. How do we use our communities and the ways that we are together to better share? There's as many open STEM jobs as people in prison. And every time you teach tech in prison and confidence and skills and 21st century things with community, you get 7% recidivism, sometimes 0% recidivism instead of 70. So how about this workforce is this workforce? And we start respecting people and helping them get better. So this year, thank you. We're about to come up on the UN General Assembly in New York. Traffic gets a little crazy. But the United Nations, just over here from us, set these goals. We, as a global community, set the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. And these are incredible goals, and they were crowdsourced. My colleague at Shift7, which is a company we founded, Susan Alsner, led the public engagement process here. One of the things that's incredible about those goals and about the technologies that are available is we could use some of this stuff to solve all of that. So AI and machine learning and all these things, let's talk inclusive. It's not only for incredible things like self-driving cars and precision medicine and robotics and social media and ad tech and that. It's also for poverty and justice and whatever subject we want to apply these things to. We did a conference with President Obama called the Frontiers Conference. We looked at what are the frontiers for personal frontiers, like personalized medicine, brain science, learning. Local frontiers, like smart cities and wise communities. National frontiers with artificial intelligence, global frontiers with climate, green energy. There's so much cool stuff going on, and also interplanetary, SpaceX, Blue Origin, going to Pluto, all of these incredible things that are going on. The Curiosity rover continues to send us pictures. It's an amazing thing that we're doing, and yet a lot of people don't feel included. So what can we do to use all of this badass stuff on the harder problems? One thing that was very interesting to me is I ended up in the National Academy of Engineering. It's an amazing group of people. It was started by President Lincoln. It's not funded by the government, and it's to protect our country with science and technology advising. And so it's a group of a couple thousand people who work together. One of the things that was interesting to me was look at what grand challenges they chose. Now, these are important challenges, but they weren't all the challenges of the SDGs. They were a subset. And I was like, why did that happen? Why was the agenda narrowed for engineering instead of broadened for engineering? And so I looked at the committee who reviewed it, and it was crowdsourced, but then the review committee turned out to have 12 white and Asian men, 4 underrepresented minority men, 2 white women, and 0 women of color. So what if the committee looked like that? What might they have chosen to do? Right? And so how do we broaden and include everybody in the voice of who gets to speak about topics? The agenda, what is it that you want to work on, and how can you play the whole orchestra? Use AI, whatever you want to use on the problem, or great storytelling, or science, technology, whatever it is, or humanities, or social sciences. And how do we get everybody at the table? And I want to look into history to think about that, because when we erase our history or diminish some people and accelerate others, we know more about some and less about others. We don't realize that we've always been driving at all the agendas. So how many people in here, many people in here probably know Ida B. Wells. Yes, no? Some people, yes. Chicago just named a street after her. Ida is incredible. She's one of the greatest American data scientists. She basically wrote and researched the Red Record, where she looked into lynchings in our country. And she really started to show, hold a mirror up to society. Incredible, incredible person. Here's her, and I put her together with Tesla. I put her together with Tesla for a reason, because I love Tesla. I'm from Buffalo. Tesla used Niagara Falls to light Buffalo, City of Light, when he demonstrated AC. We love our immigrant American Tesla inventor. We also love Ida, who was born in Mississippi. Why are they together? Because the Chicago World's Fair, the book Devil in the White City, think about 400 years since Columbus, they built this great fair. Tesla was all the rage. Why wasn't Ida demoing? Because she and Frederick Douglass had protested the fair for 3 years to try to have a booth for African American people to show what they would show. And on the internet is this incredible record of them asking to have a booth, right? To show the inventions, lists of inventions, sculptors, philosophers, architects, so many different disciplines of all the people who would have exhibited right along with Tesla to show how awesome they were and what they were doing. We see this kind of stuff. Here's Vivian Thomas with Dr. Alfred Belak, the two of them doing this surgery. Do you see Vivian in the picture? This is the first heart surgery in the history of the world. They're doing it together. Where's Vivian? Yeah, he's behind. He's not allowed to touch the patient because of racism. He's coaching Dr. Belak. Right? This is not that long ago. So we see, this is media. This is men's lines to women's lines in 2,000 films. Who gets their story told? Who gets to speak? Right? This is children's television. This is CES. So the Chicago World's Fair is no different in 1892 from what happened at CES. Right? We keep doing the same thing. Some people get to talk, some people get their agenda, some people get to choose what the money's for, and some people don't get in. Look at the tech industry. But the truth is different. This is the chemistry lab at MIT, right? Images matter. These are AI work that we did work on. This is Jane Addams. How many people know Jane Addams? Some people. Yeah, Jane Addams invented social work. This is her data science. She looked at the livelihood and location. She and another woman, they worked together on all the data science of Chicago. We need to know this stuff. This is a whole report from the president about how to use these technologies for faith-based and neighborhood partnerships, solving local challenges. These are two 13-year-olds doing their apps, and what I love, Olivia's got this game. Kimura is doing this app. It listens in the room for domestic violence, and it asks you if you want to call the police or if you need some resources. Alexa and Siri could do that if Kimura was on the team. Ellen Swallow Richards, the first person in America to start to measure our water, make sure our health was going to be okay by what we were drinking, what we were eating. She is known as the woman who gave us the science of normal life. She was in the Chicago World's Fair. And so if you don't know about Ellen, then Gitanjali, when she hears about Flint, she's 10 years old, she's on the stage with Carly Klossamy. She's invented a new filter for taking lead out of the water. Right? So the Gitanjalis of the world need to know that they stand on the shoulders of women and men who've come before them, who've done extraordinary things, and we need to take back the agenda. Because if we don't, we face grave challenges. This is Kathy O'Neill's work. Everyone in this room should watch her TED Talk, Weapons of Math Destruction. Right? So we're in this moment of artificial intelligence. It's the beginning. What kind of future do we want? You think of Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein at 18, right? She was with Lord Byron when they told those ghost stories. Lord Byron is Ada Lovelace's father. They had the same thing, right? They had the same thing. Are we going to go to a scary future or a great future? Well, we don't know. We're doing both. Let's see what we can do together. Tim Cook has been showing a lot of leadership around AI, and he gave the speech talking about keeping the humanities, the social sciences, and the science and tech folks at the table together. And he was saying, in this case, the MIT students, don't walk away if you're the techie when it gets to the hard ethics problems. Stay at the table and work together. This is a really important time. If we look at our democracy, we're getting further and further apart. Democrats and Republicans here are shown in this great animation from Business Insider where they used to vote together. The gray is their very voting together. And over time, we're getting further and further apart. Doesn't matter which party is in power. This is how much we like or dislike our president. So, in the time of Eisenhower, we really like and don't like Kennedy, and we're getting further and further apart, more and more combative in our country with each other. Algorithms are racist, they're sexist. Why is it when I take up my phone and I take a picture of some friends, it works perfectly to see them. Other friends, I have to light balance it to make sure they show up. That's a racist camera. Right? So Joy Buolamwini is one of my favorite researchers. She's at the Media Lab, and she created the Algorithmic Justice League. We should all join it. Her work makes her look at face recognition. And so she actually has to wear whiteface to get certain face recognition to pick her up. She's worked with IBM, and they've been changing their algorithms. We have to do more of that. She has the most incredible piece online. She recreated Sojourner Truth's Ain't I a Woman speech with AI. Ain't I a woman? And it shows how Serena and Michelle Obama and Oprah and other people are not recognized properly. So let's look at that. So our goal, I've made a company, it's called Shift7. It's similar to the work we were going to do in government. How do we get all of us into the game so we can really use the collective genius and capabilities we have? When we were in the White House, we organized a meetup of all the tech meetup organizers. How are we going to get everyone into the future? This is all of them, and they're scattered around this country. Super cool innovations. This is Grace, a 10th grader, teaching the chief of police for New Orleans how to code. We can scrub our kids in for computer science, and they can solve all the city problems rather than going to boarding school. They can go to this school. Much more fun. We can have sprints and campaigns and prototypes and bring this kind of capability in. There's a bunch of people here from the US government. I know the United States Civil Service folks are in the house. Where are you? Are you here? Yay. Okay, so you can come and rotate into government. I didn't ever expect I was going to do that. And I got tapped to do it. It was one of the most incredible things I ever got a chance to do. And I realized we're missing from a lot of rooms. So I encourage everyone, in whatever country you're from, wherever you're from, city government, state government, tribal government, federal government, United Nations, or API. You can come by API. Come into the government. Working on a data science cabinet that exists and crowdsourcing a rubric across, working on getting APIs out there, not just for apps for making, mapping applications or weather, but how about for health and education, housing, and justice. And this is happening all over the world. So this digital capability coming into all these harder problems is going on. When the UN meets this year, we're going to do our 4th annual Solution Summit. So a couple weeks ago, we put up a web page on the UN site, and we said, who has solutions already for the Sustainable Development Goals? Not your idea, your Post-it note early, but who's already doing this? And we got over 1,000 applications of people who wanted to come present 3 minutes at the UN, the incredible thing they have solved for justice or climate or inclusion or gender equality. And those people who wanted to crowdsource open be the review committee. So that's coming up shortly. We also, with Leanne, partnered for the Tech Jobs Tour. In the Tech Jobs Tour, we go all around the country and do this kind of event and get the Americans to meet each other. So on the Tech Jobs Tour, it's where you're looking for all the new and classic trainings 3 months in a boot camp. The employers are willing to hire from that region, the municipal leaders, and the techies in town, and we have everyone meet each other. This is Cleveland in the speed mentoring. Here's Memphis and speed mentoring. Here's Oakland. We had 2,000 people show up in Oakland, and 200 of our tech community showed up to mentor them into the future. Did this in Cheyenne and Birmingham, all over the country. And it's not new. George Washington Carver, when he saw how we needed to rotate crops, we were a monocrop culture, he went into the lab. He figured out that peanuts and soybeans would nitrogen fix the soil, and he got in his wagon. He went all over the country with his students. They trained 2,000 farmers a month. We can do things like that and get this country into the future. This is Steve Case doing Rise of the Rest with the entrepreneurs. I love these two people. They are modern Jane Addams, and they have an incredible school in Columbus, Ohio, where they do all kinds of onboarding of people into future skills, city services, beautiful food, etc. I'm from Buffalo. This is, kind of our dusty buildings. They're now live with innovation centers. This is the Erie Canal. It was on fire when I was a kid. And now it's working. That's a new solar city plant. They're going to pull 75 trucks a day of solar panels out of Buffalo, New York. Right? That's really exciting because that was a super fun site for steel. So America's really coming back in a way that's incredibly exciting. This is Memphis. Startups along the Mississippi. This one's great because it's a container ship, container with computer science in it. And they also did some cool stuff outside. This is in the middle of Appalachia. BitSource, Drill Bit Source Code is the name of this company. They're former coal miners, and they are basically reshoring jobs to America in this tiny town of Pikeville, Kentucky. And this is the tech team there. They're rocking it. This is Idaho. These folks took and gutted this building. They're boomerangers. They're from Idaho. They came out into other cities. They've gone home, 3 families. They built this amazing innovation center in the middle of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And then not only did they do that, but they went and trained all the folks in Idaho. 700 people in Idaho are co-learning and code boot camps, kind of like book clubs, just learning on their own. Swift. Awesome. This is happening in the United States now. This is in Dallas with Steve. Paul Quinn College is president. They had a food desert, so they just took the football field and turned it into an urban farm. So we love these guys. Americans are so ingenious. This is the Ochete Shikome Fellows. These folks are folks from Standing Rock, Pine Ridge, etc. MIT asked, what would you do for housing, energy, water? 22 people applied, 6 folks selected for the first group. These guys are doing the most amazing projects. Henry Red Cloud, working on Red Cloud Solar. I'll just point him out himself. These are tribal elders. His great-great-grandfather met with President Grant. People on tribal lands are entrepreneurs, are rock stars, and we can come up underneath them, and they will solve their own problems. We can pull the kids in. President Obama is talking to these kids. He said, how'd you guys make this page-turning robot? They said, we had a brainstorming. What'd you do then? We built some prototypes. So what if that was what kids did, not boring school, right? We could have computer science for all. We were in Wyoming and Cheyenne with Leanne and teams. Wyoming has voted that all kids in Wyoming will learn computer science from kindergarten onwards. It's in law, and they will be fully deployed by 2023. Same with Virginia, same with Rhode Island, same with Arkansas. So get your state to get it done. These are the chief science officer kids. They get elected like a class president. There's 500 of them. Let's scale this. These are kids in the movie Inventing Tomorrow. This is a young woman who saw this in her town. This stuff was blowing, this is Bangalore, blowing into her school bus, so she started measuring the water. So kids are getting it done, and this is a great story about them. The last thing I want to just talk about is a reminder that we just have to be really, really diligent, not only to find these doers and help them team up on our more complicated systems problems, but also know our history. Know that Ada Lovelace really did write a 55-page paper at the same time as Darwin about computer science. She said, "I wish to bequeath to the generations a calculus of the nervous system." That sounds like AI to me. And so she is the one who thought that algorithms could do their thing. And so I want us to know that Lord Byron's daughter is the founder of computer science. And Turing refers to her. We need to lift her up as high as we can. We also need to notice her hair. It's kind of helpful. You know, that women were here and were the first computer scientists in America, right? They wrote the first code with Eckert and Mauchly. Of course, Grace Hopper inventing computer languages. When everyone told her, why would we ever do that? She's like, I think we can broaden participation. A friend of mine once ran into her in Dulles Airport, and she said, don't let them tell you you're wrong if you're not. So remember that. You know, here's the Duchess of Cambridge with her grandmother and great-aunt's friend who were codebreakers at Bletchley Park. And yet it's 25-to-1 boy visitors to girl visitors to this museum. The girls have to know that they do this too, and they always have, and this group saved 11 million lives, shortened the war by 2 years with heroic engineering and inventing code with Turing. You know, Margaret, of course, is now a Lego with her Apollo code here. Katherine Johnson, the great Katherine Johnson. One of the things we're working on at Shift7 is that we're working with the USC team to look at algorithms, AI and data science that we can use machine learning to analyze scripts, to try to see if we can help our colleagues in Hollywood as they write highly biased, racist, sexist content that they don't mean to write. But can we sort of hold a mirror back? This is Star Wars, women's lines to men's lines across time and by race. So how can we help people see what they're writing? So I'll just end with this quote from President Washington. There's nothing which better deserves your patronage, he says this to Congress in the first State of the Union, than the promotion of science and literature, humanities and technology, founding of the country. Knowledge in every country is the surest basis of public happiness. Knowledge, fake news, knowledge, right? So we need to know that we do all of the parts of the orchestra, everybody does all of them, and we really got to apply them to this harder stuff. So you guys are incredible. I love hearing everything that everybody's working on. I encourage you to push harder, and let's kind of balance this agenda. You know, Bono's been singing this extreme thing, which I don't agree with because I have two boys. I agree 50% with him, and he sings, women of the world take over, because if you don't, the world will come to the end and it won't take long. It's a pretty intense thing to say. Now, I don't think the women should take over, but I think we should be balanced. And the imbalance is causing extraordinary pain in the planet and across all of our communities. And so all of us can be the ones we're waiting for. We have everything we need. It's just our own will and confidence, and to hold that creative confidence you need to have. And if you don't have it, get your neighbor to help you. We can help each other. We're part of the Time's Up movement also. That's all linked, not ranked community. So I love you guys, and have an amazing summit. Cool. Cool. Okay. Yeah.